Welcome to Art and Object's first major art catalogue for 2012. This is really quite an exciting exhibition that we have on currently at Art and Object. Will be on view until the auction date, which is next Thursday, the 22nd of March. And we have a wonderful collection, a near survey collection of contemporary art. It's the Russell and Shirley Hodgson collection of contemporary art. And Ben and I are going to talk to you about some of the really fabulous works in this collection.
I first met and came into contact with Russell and Shirley Hodgson maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I'd heard that they were actively putting together an amazing collection of contemporary art, and they asked me to come and do an insurance valuation for their collection. Right away I was pretty amazed with the scope and breadth of the collection, how active they were, requiring substantial works by contemporary New Zealand artists and Australian artists. And I think this wall behind me shows the level to which they were collecting, seeking out major works. What really sort of staggered me about the collection was the breadth of it, really. It seemed to cut across several different genres, styles, mediums, approaches, without having any problems encountering photography or sculpture or painting or hanging and living with them together. Several people have mentioned to me how large the collection is, and I can assure you, having seen it all firsthand, they lived with it all in their house in Parnell. It didn't seem that big, but somehow they managed to fit it all in.
We had a wonderful opening on Thursday last week for the Russell and Shirley Hodgson collection, and one of the works that attracted a lot of comment is this fabulous enamel on canvas by Richard Lewer, entitled "It Wasn't Supposed to Be This Way." Classic Kiwi moment, many of us will recall it. That's Ali Williams, hands on head, the quarter-final 2007 World Cup final. Now obviously the pain has been erased by the events of last year, but this is part of an absolutely wonderful series that people have really enjoyed and takes us back to a moment many of us have experienced, which is the pain of defeat, the disaster of losing a sporting contest. The works in this particular series are classic Lewer, tongue-in-cheek, tragicomic, but take us to moments of high drama on the sporting field. And I think this is really shows the genius of Lewer, his ability to find in subject matter that is usually not addressed by artists, the stuff of life, the drama of life, and high human emotion. In contrast to the work that we've just discussed, here is a far more serious piece. There were 9 works in this series on billiard felt, pool table felt, and they show again the unique take, the unique space that is occupied by Richard Lewer. This particular work shows a far darker moment in New Zealand history. It's entitled The Kirsty Bentley Case. And many of you will remember back in the late 1990s the tragic case of a young girl that went missing in Ashburton, and the pathos and the emotion that was highlighted by the fact that her dog went missing and was found a number of days later tethered to a tree many miles away from where the murder actually took place. Like the works of the series, is almost a travel log to another part of New Zealand, to another moment, trying to explain, trying to understand what may have taken place.
I'm standing beside 2 very major Jeff Thornley paintings. Now, I did the catalogue essay on these, and the one on the left I mentioned would be probably the one painting that if I could take something home, it would be this one. It is one of the most arresting and quietly beautiful and inspiring paintings I've ever come across. It's a very difficult painting to talk about. There's really not much going on in it, but and it doesn't translate to in a photograph to the catalogue, or it won't translate well to your video. But when you come into close contact with this painting, it is incredibly complex and beautifully worked. It's overlaid with the softest sort of vestigial grit, and there's echoes of the ocean in the way that this sort of meandering line on the right-hand side recalls the soft lapping of the ocean on the sand coming in. It's almost a sort of a fleshy pink colour, but there's very complex blues and ochres and browns lapping through it. The edges of the canvas are just left slightly exposed, very deliberately, and that creates a wonderful depth and flatness without sounding too contradictory. So a very, very, very beautiful and a very major piece of New Zealand abstraction.
At about the same time that Rowan Whelans was the Francis Hodgkins Fellow, his work started to move away from the more traditional is hardly the word, but the more directly incised works that he had become known for in the early to mid 2000s, where layers and layers and layers of paint applied in some cases over months were then cut back to reveal, almost like an archaeological dig, the sediment of the different layers of paint that were revealed by that incision process. And he's a mean man with a knife. And what you can see in this particular work, The Road to Tomorrow from 2009, is almost the reverse of the process in a painterly sense, but also Whelan starting to apply his unique talent for construction to the idea of origami and paper. So in the heart of the work here, which is a kind of like a sci-fi supernova, a nebula exploding in space, we have a number of applied, numerous, like a tiling effect of those pieces that have been removed, most probably from other canvases. And from the midst of that explodes this quite incredible phantasmagoria of erupting from the work. It's really a force of nature, and that's very much a feature of Whelan's work, is that it feels elemental.
This work on the left is one of a number of contemporary photographs which feature in the Hodgson collection. It's Jae-hoon Lee's Residue, and it's a fantastic example of what Jae-hoon Lee does, and what's, I think, one of the most interesting traits of contemporary photography at the moment. Throughout its history, the quality of the photographic image really rested on the photographer's ability to capture what Henri Cartier-Bresson called the decisive moment. To be in the field at exactly the right time as something very interesting occurred, and to capture that. With artists like Jae-hoon Lee and Yvonne Todd, that sort of shift in the creative process to what's most important in the photographic image has completely shifted. With Jae-hoon Lee, it goes from the taking of the photograph to the work that he does in his studio on his Mac. So what you get is the most wonderfully dense and beautifully collaged image of many, many disparate parts coming forth together in this great sort of post-apocalyptic side profile, which bears resemblance to a human portrait.
This beguiling creature by Sarapin from 2004 is entitled The Huntress. And she's both an enchanting and perhaps a slightly spooky figure. There she is, an Edwardian figure, I think, resplendent in a magnificent silk and organza evening gown, but something's going on here, something a bit strange. And the Huntress, surrounded by symbols perhaps of some crime, or signs of her enchanting power, referencing, of course, the great Huntress Diana. But here we have the freshly killed, perhaps hare, a still beating heart, and a mysterious ship, clockwork ship in a case. And when we look behind the Huntress, we see this drawing room curtain, this deep velvet curtain, and in it flowers and symbols perhaps of nature gone bad, because these are carnivorous plants. So there's a slightly nocturnal, lascivious feel about this work. And it's a classic example of Pick's ability to play, to create fantasy. All of the works are currently on exhibition at Art and Object until the auction this coming Thursday, and you can also view the works online at www.artandobject.co.nz.